Good morning, Monday morning, and I was sick all weekend. Family was sick all weekend. My son got sick Thursday night. He woke up throwing up. So I took care of that all night long. By Friday morning, well, he stayed home Friday all day, and by Friday morning I was feeling pretty bad myself, and I stayed home. I didn't open shop Friday. Saturday I didn't open shop. Sunday his mother caught it. So the whole house has been sick. And today, well, yesterday felt pretty good. We went out and went for a ride. Went to this place. When I was a kid, I lived out in the country about 10 miles outside of town. And there was this road. It was a long dead-end road, but it also widened off to another dead end. And when I was 17, some really rich guy bought it. And hold on, I'm going to turn this on for a minute. Well, I've got the Matrix app going. Matrix app, and I am using the Insidious box again. I just want to play with it one more time before I pack it up. It's on eBay.
Yeah, Mike.
Now, one thing that I didn't even notice when I was using this before, and I was getting great results.
Let's see what he said.
And I wasn't letting the banks do its thing off and on to each other. I was just letting it go. As you can see, if you can see those little white lines? Those little white lines are supposed to go back and forth as it cycles through the banks. And I wasn't doing that, and I was getting awesome responses if you look at the last two videos. So now I'm going to turn it on and let it do its thing. You hear that? So now you're hearing more channels. So I'm going to leave it at 1500 like before. And I'm going to turn this down for now.
It's a U-kit, not nothing.
A kid dart.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
American farm.
I'm just getting the effect ready.
Energy food you can serve.
Okay. So anyway, where was I? Some really rich people bought this land. It was like 60 acres. They made some ponds back there. They built. I never knew what was back there until yesterday, and I'm 46 now. There's all the buildings are pretty run down. They haven't been used in a long time. So we went back there, and as soon as we crossed the gates, it felt like we were in Friday the 13th. And just waiting for Jason to cross the path with a machete and stand in front of the car. So my kid, he's like, Dad, we gotta leave. We need to leave. Let's turn around. Let's just go. He was fucking scared. He was so scared. He just wanted to get out of there, and I wanted a couple pictures. So we drove around the place, and we came to this cabin, this old stone cabin that was built. I mean, it wasn't old, but it was not taken care of for many years, probably the last 30 years. And I got out and took a picture. The doors had old Gothic handles. They were all wooden with the big metal slats going across them, and huge windows. And there was a deck and a pond. It was all broken down, and the pond was frozen. So I took a pretty cool picture of that. But that was kind of neat to finally get back there and see what it was. It was kind of creepy. So I think I want to take a ghost box back there. I mean, it's for sale, so no one's back there. Nobody goes out in those parts. So I might take another trip. What else? Show you some new boxes that I've got going. Oh, my big box, the first box, UPS. Sound like Archie Bunker. Oh, Archie! UPS dropped the first box. Broke the first box. The poor guy, he contacted me. He wasn't mad at me. He said they dropped it, you know, so we're going to have to figure out what to do with that. I've got no problem with helping him fix that. You know, I feel horrible about it. But it was packaged well. All my stuff is packaged properly. They must have dropped it hard. They must have been drop kicking it, throwing it. I don't know what, but the front was crushed. The back came loose. The battery inside came loose. And, you know, I only hot glued those down, which is more than sufficient. I don't need to strap them in. I don't need to do anything. You plastic to wood, hot glues very nicely. And then I put a dab of Gorilla Glue on each end. It's not supposed to go anywhere. Maybe I'll have to look into straps, but I'm afraid that that battery, as heavy as it is, moved around and it might have damaged the amp. He said he got it working last night, though. So either I help him try to fix it over the phone, or I just send it back. But you know, to ship those things, it's not cheap. It was $35 to ship that with insurance. And that's the thing with eBay. It kind of sucks. So, you know, I do use this channel to showcase the boxes, but at the same time, you know, it is our paranormal channel for our group, our investigation sites, and I post those investigations up. They don't come, you know, too often. You know, we might do an investigation once a month, or it might be once every 2 months. But I like to keep the channel active, and by doing this, it helps it out. I'm not making $1 million. I'd like to make $1 million. I won't lie about that. But it's a good way to showcase these radios too. So I'll never beg anybody to buy them. I just show them to you. I let you hear them. You know, I'm not going to beg people to subscribe. I don't care. I'm going to show you the new boxes that I got. I was sick all weekend, so I couldn't really enjoy them. These diesel boxes, the old cigar boxes, are pretty cool. This seems to be a good alternative to the radios. I still want to do the radios because I think they just look awesome, and they're antiques in their history. And when I find a nice looking radio, I gotta have it, and I'm gonna build it, and they won't be cheap. But these things I can keep around that level that, you know, people can afford. And I've got 4 or 5 of these. I've gotten a lot. So that's gonna save you $40 right off the top from it being a radio. And they're kind of little gothic looking. They're cool. And you know, I'll put a pedal here, or just one pedal. Maybe I'll keep with the tube thing, or I'll put LEDs in it. The amp, the battery, everything will fit in here nice. It's, as you can see, it's, well, maybe you can't see. It's a lot bigger, wider, more room to work in. So that's one box. What else we got? I don't know if I showed you guys this one yet or not. Here's another one. I think I hear Lewis in there. Here. Hi, Lewis. How are you? What are you doing today? Hello. I think that's just nice that they just want to say hello to me. I like having friends. A laugh track. A laugh track. So that's one, and this is cool. This is a cigar box, but it's an old cedar box. It's an old cedar chest, like almost like your mom's old jewelry boxes when you were a kid, you know? Old cedar box. But I usually take these out because that's just another area that I have to try to cut through, and I don't have a lot. This one's pretty thick. You know what? This is pretty thick. It may not allow me to put the effects inside and have them come out because the effects aren't very deep. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one yet. I hate to take these off, but I may have to take them off and put effects on the side, and then allow this to be storage, maybe for your radio or something. I don't know, but it's a pretty cool looking box. So that's another one. And other than the radios that I've already showed you, I haven't been working on much. I've got a couple big orders here. I gotta be a big boy and do my other work too. You know, I actually heard a spirit ask me if do you work. So yes, I do work. In this business, it's either it all comes at once or it doesn't come at all. So it's pretty tough. You know, I'll get slammed with 6-7 jobs all at once, and then I won't do nothing for 2 weeks. So it's pretty much make your money in a week, make your money in 2 weeks, and the rest of the time you clean up your shop, because I do screen printing, I do vinyl graphics, I do signs, I do photography, I do everything that I can think of to keep me busy, but it never all just keeps me busy, you know, spread out. It's all at once, all the time. It's really annoying, but I haven't had to go to work for anybody else in 4 years, and I can't work for anybody. I can't take directions from somebody. You know, I cooked for 15 years, and I had no problem with that, but you really didn't have to. You weren't bossed around, you know. You knew your job, you worked, you cooked, you got the order in, and that was it. As long as you knew how to cook and you knew what you were doing and you made good food, nobody bothered you. But other jobs, man. I remember I had a guy, I worked construction for somebody, and I had to break sidewalks up with sledgehammers, and then we had to pick it up by hand and throw it in dump trucks. That's what us scrubs had to do. And this guy, he was a little Italian guy. He looked just like Mario, from Mario and Luigi. And he was a really hyper Italian. And we also had to go into basements and pour concrete for floors. So one day we were in this basement So one day we went into this basement, and we had to break the floor up and pour it, and there was no room to stand. You hunch yourself like that, so it was really hard to break the floor up, and it was really hard to get it out the window. We only had basement windows, you know, like this, and we had to throw all the stone out, and then the chute came through the window and poured the floor, and you got to be really quick when you do that. You got to drag it, and it's a pain in the ass. It's hard work, and when you're 18, you don't want to work hard. I didn't. So we're down in this basement, and they're pouring one half of the floor while we're still breaking up another half. And he got pissed off because I didn't move fast enough. Well, my job at that time wasn't to help pour the floor, it was to break up the floor. And he took a shovel, he threw it at me, and that stick went right by my face. I picked up a rock and I threw it at his head, and I walked out of that. I was done, man. I was tired of him. So that was the end of that job. And that's pretty much how most of my jobs ended up. They either ended up with a go fuck yourself or somebody throwing something at somebody. So when I finally had to get all these carpal tunnel operations, you know, I was working as a sign installer, sign maker at another place. They told me to go on disability. I wasn't even thinking of that. I just wanted to get my operations so I could use my hands again. It was to the point where I couldn't ride a bicycle, I couldn't mow the lawn, I couldn't drive, I couldn't sleep. You know, it was horrible. Couldn't play my guitar for 2 years. And I decided to get the operations, and they told me to go on disability. But then when I came back, they pushed me out. They didn't even want me there. They didn't like the fact that I listened to Opie and Anthony. They didn't like the fact that I listened to Rush Limbaugh. But I only listened to Rush Limbaugh because they wouldn't let me listen to Opie and Anthony. And in the metal shop that I was in, I couldn't listen to anything else. So I listened to Rush Limbaugh. You know, and I'm not even a political guy. I could give a shit. But I ended up with a finger in my face on a 1/8 of an inch mistake that I made on a sign. 1/8 of an inch. You know, and a normal person isn't going to see that, but a sign maker will, and he did. And it was only vinyl; it could just peeled it off and fixed it real quick. But no, this guy, he had to get in my face, and I almost snapped his finger. And I said, no, I'm just going to leave. Bully your friends. He wasn't my friend. And you know, I decided, nope, I'll just leave. I'm done. I quit. So I quit. I went on unemployment for a little while, and then I decided to do this. And you know what? I'm kicking their ass. They might as well go out of business because I'm doing signs, I'm doing shirts, I'm doing everything. and they're really expensive. And I'm not half as expensive as they are, and there's no need to be. You rip people off, then you don't keep a customer base. You have one-time customers when you rip people off. You know, same thing with selling cars. I couldn't sell cars because I couldn't rip people off. You know, they wanted me to say this, do that, but you know, then I got mechanics coming to me saying this car has this problem, this one, I wouldn't sell that car, blah, blah. And then that's in my head, and people come in to look at cars, you know, and you see a father trying to buy a vehicle for his daughter or his son, or you know, or a little old lady, and you know what's wrong with these cars, and how the hell can you sell a car to somebody knowing that? There's some slippery fucking people in the world, man. And I couldn't do it. You know, I sold cars for about a year, and for that year I was pretty much working under like the rule that you get some commission no matter what. So even if you're not selling, you get a good paycheck, and if you sell a used car, you get a lot more money. It was like 5% versus 1% in new cars, and other guys were selling stuff and they were training me, so I was getting a cut of their money because I was helping them. 9/11 happened, and I couldn't go on anymore. I just didn't have any customers. So I quit that too. Yeah. I had a lot of jobs. But I like this job. So let's stop yapping. I'm going to try and get this speaker pointed a little closer to the...
Pride in America.
So who's here with me right now?
And chase one.
Lewis.
Homeless person.
Homeless person? The homeless person? Are you talking about the homeless person that walks by my shop every day?
You know, why don't you go?
Who is that homeless guy that walks by the shop every day? Where does he live? On the canal. I think I heard that. He does live on the canal. I don't know where on the canal. I walk the canal almost every day. And I see this guy. He came in here last summer wanting to know if I could give him a job, but I don't have a job. And at the time, my printer was broke. And I was trying to fix it. I got a guy come out here and give me a quote for $3,000. I ended up fixing it myself for $500. It took a while to figure it out, but I did. And he came in and he said he was an awesome mechanic and he was good with electronics. And I said, well, can you fix this? I would have gladly paid the guy. You know, I already knew the part was $500. He's like, no, I can't fix that. I said, okay, but you know, it's been really, really cold, and I saw him a couple days, but I was busy with customers and I couldn't stop him. I wanted to give him some clothes, and you know, that's the benefit of this place. If there's a family in need, if there's a fire, if there's anything, any kind of tragedy, you know, I can get my clothes for half off, and I pay 4% in tax. So nobody ever takes me up on it, but you know, I like to help people where I can. And him, I don't know where he's going or where he's sleeping, but I don't think he's staying anywhere in a shelter or anything, and it was minus 20 degrees. And I was thinking about him, and I saw him a couple days later, and he was away in the distance, and I couldn't get him, but he's all right. So he lives on the canal, right, guys? Where on the canal?
Oh, sure, ma'am.
Where is he sleeping?
New York is like that.
New York is like.
Yes, I helped out.
I've never.
Louisville, Kentucky, and New
York and Kentucky.
5 minutes
And this, I guess this really isn't about doing a session. I'm just yapping.
Striker has run afoul of the law.
We can try to do a session though.
Care to ask me?
Does anybody want to talk about anything today?
Eric, Bobby.
Nobody.
Nobody? Is everybody sleeping still?
Miss Susie, man.
I was sitting home.
Mr. B told me that Lewis had a lot of good stories. Mr. B said that. Now, if you want to tell me a good story, I would love to hear a story instead of me telling stories all the time.
Good, he said.
I would love to hear your stories. I wish that I could sit down and talk to you and hear your stories because this radio only gives me bits and pieces. Man, I would love to hear some stories from the 30s.
Oh.
I hear you back there, but you're really quiet. Hi, Lewis. He's calling you. Who are you? I don't think he's talking to me. He's really quiet. He's way in the distance. Everybody's calling Lewis. There's a lot of people calling Lewis. So I'm not going to bother them today. They're obviously talking amongst themselves. That's what it feels like.
I'm going to tell you the story about Johnny.
I think they're having a conversation.
He's coming out of the street.
Is Jasper around, or is Carol around? Is anybody willing to talk? So I only told this to Kevin so far. I texted him. I was doing a session. I fixed his radio for him before I sent it back out. I did a little session, and I was showing him what he had to do to operate it with a physical radio versus plug it in your phone, because the connections were a little different. And hold on. And I was trying to contact my spirit guide, and I heard a woman talking, but I couldn't make out if it was her or not. And I thanked her for coming through, but I told her I couldn't hear her very well, and I didn't know if it was her or not. It wasn't. 4 seconds later, my phone rang, and I picked it up. I said, hello, 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 and I heard 3 strange clicking noises, like it was trying to connect, like a and I heard a woman's voice with an accent, an English accent, say hello, and it hung up. I said hello. Nobody was there. I hung up the phone. I called the number back, and it said, I'm sorry, this number is not in service. So my mind automatically went to the box, and I asked if that was Carol coming through, contacting me, and I heard a yes through the box. And if that was true, if that really happened, that is amazing. And I asked her to do it again, and it didn't happen. But I feel, you know, in my body, in my mind, that really was a spiritual connection. That was something unexplained that happened. It wasn't just somebody with the wrong number. So that's about it. I'm well into a half an hour here, and it's a lot of editing. I don't have to go through much on the box because it wasn't really a session. And, you know, some days I just yap, some days I do a session, some days it's a 50-50 thing, but I don't think that I was already told that they didn't have nothing to say to me today, so I'm going to shut this bad boy down. And I'm going to let them be, and I'm going to get some work done. Thank you guys for coming through if you did, and I'm sorry if I bothered you.
Worth it at all.